Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Action Comics issue 1018. And Brian Michael Bendis is the writer. John Romita Jr. is the artist, along with Jansen on the colors, and I believe it's Anderson again on the colors, Jansen on the inks. Just a general comment. I actually think they put more work into the first page where they try to make everything look like a web page, the front of the Daily Planet web page. I mean, the detail on here. I mean, it's, you know, I almost got to use a magnifying glass on top of my glasses in order to read it. But you know, it kind of gives you a Cole's Note snapshot of what's going on in the rest of the DC universe, which is interesting because half the stuff that it's reciting is actually not exactly in continuity with the very story that's being told within Action Comics. But that's, hey, blame Doomsday Clock, right? I mean, that's the convenience of Doomsday Clock. The multiverse is healing itself. So there's all kinds of screw-ups here going on, right? What I find interesting on the Daily Planet on the front page here of Action Comics 1018 is there's a comment here that says, it references Alfred dying, which is interesting, and it also references it references the revelation. Did you already suspect Clark Kent was Superman, or did those glasses have you fooled? Let us know in the comments below. Yes or no? No. The Daily Planet has a poll going on, has a poll. They're doing a poll that basically says, you know, you can write in and let them know, or let them know online if you were fooled by the glasses that Clark Kent wore. So there's some sort of in-house jokes here going on the front page, which is kind of humorous. It's not bad. I note the hashtag trends in the DC universe are hashtag Apex Flex, hashtag Justice versus Doom, hashtag Flamingo Hot Cheetah, hashtag City of Batman, as opposed to City of Bane, since Bane was recently defeated, hashtag New Suicide Squad, hashtag Long Live the Legion, which I find interesting. Why would the Legion even be on there? I guess referencing the future doesn't screw up the timeline. But I guess why would that screw up the timeline, right? I mean, the Legion of superheroes can violate their own time directives and travel back into the past to retrieve John Kent, so that's not going to screw anything up. But in any event, I found the first page here is by far the most interesting. And in any event, the story itself, well, right away we get right into yet another the battle of Superman and the Justice League battling the Legion of Doom in Metropolis. Now, this doesn't really line up with any of the events that have actually been taking place in Justice League, but so there's that. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense. But in any event, nothing really happens. It shows the Legion of Doom fighting Superman and the Justice League, and then we have the Red Mist, or the Red Cloud, or whatever, watching it. And the Red Cloud was recently powered up by Lex Luthor. Lex gave her that gift to allow her to have more control over her turning into a mist. I'm not really sure what the nature of her powers are, but this issue, it actually goes into giving us one of the most incredible non-origin stories I've ever seen. It's amazing how Bendis can tell you an origin and actually reveal nothing to you of substance. Literally, it's when Robinson Good was just a rookie reporter working for the Star Sentinel. She goes and she interviews some people at Star Labs, and they panic because these people at Star Labs were doing some illegal experimenting, dealing with trying to access another dimension. And in a panic, they knock her out. And then they panic again. They figure they want to get rid of the body, so they're going to throw her in this interdimensional experimental transporter device, whatever exactly it is. It's not really defined. And anyways, it ends up that she wakes up, and then there's a struggle that ensues. And before she can run away, this interdimensional, this goo, this red energy stuff that's in this giant portal tube wraps itself around, the mist wraps itself around Robinson Good. It's almost like it chose her, because it's interesting, because there is no reason why, because she wasn't thrown into the actual tube. The mist seemed to sense her, and it seemed to almost like, I'm looking at the way it's drawn here, and it looks like the mist perhaps chose her and engulfed her, and it became part of her, and then she screams out, "What did you do to me?" and ends up killing all of the lab techs, and then ultimately that's how she, and then she Ultimately, that's her origin. Now, we don't really know what the nature of the interdimensional energies are. That's a mystery that will remain. Presumably, of course, Lex Luthor knows what the nature of these energies are, because he, after all, gave Robinson Good as a gift, gave her some manner, some method by which she could control the energies, so he must know something about it. And you would expect Lex Luthor would. You always get a sense that Lex Luthor knows what's going on at Star Labs, because Star Labs is about as has the security and the secrecy of Arkham Asylum. You know what I mean? It's that pathetic. There's always somebody corrupt in Star Labs, and there's always a revolving door at Arkham Asylum. So I guess that's one thing that the Superman and Batman mythologies have in common. They got revolving doors for their villains and potential villains and anti-heroes, just, to keep the drama alive in Metropolis and Gotham City. In any event, so that's used up. Then we go back to a battle. It's showing Superman battling Lex Luthor. Pointless dialogue. Nothing is really said. It just the battle is only there to bring in the police chief Moore, who Superman tells her to get out of the way, and then it flashes back 2 days before, which is technically a day before, or 2 days before the revelation, 2 days before Superman revealed he was Clark Kent. And it has a conversation between Clark Kent and Melanie Moore, who's the chief fire chief. And she talks about how she's so inspired by Superman, she's going to run for mayor. And because she was very dismayed by the fact that when she tried to investigate all the mysterious fires that were happening around Metropolis that were caused by the Invisible Mafia, that the mayor actually helped cover it up. And so she thought she was inspired by Superman. Exactly, we're not sure, but I mean, Superman just inspires people, right? And so she decided to run for mayor. And then it's at an exact moment that we discover that Clark Kent decided to reveal his secret identity to Melanie Moore before anybody else. So he decides, because he had already definitively made up his mind. So this was not a rash. Now, we got a sense from the pages of Superman that Superman had flown off, talked to Adam Strange, flew back, talked to Lois, flew to New Krypton to talk to, Supergirl to New Krypton to tell Supergirl, and then flew back to Earth and held a press conference, flew back to Earth, called Lois, went to meet Jimmy, told Jimmy, and then about an hour after that had a press conference. But somewhere in the midst of all that, he had enough time to just go for a casual walk and run into Fire Chief Melanie Moore and reveal to her, he figured out what the heck. I guess it's 41 hours from now, he says, I'm going to reveal my identity. I'm just going to reveal it to you. So he tells the police chief that, hey, guess what? I'm Superman. And she's quite shocked and moved, and then she puts two and two together. Oh my God, you're married to Lois Lane. She's a huge Lois Lane fan because and she makes a point of stating to Clark that she likes him because he stands for truth, and the truth is very important to her, because the truth is what covered up the arson fires, and the truth is what society needs right now. And that's why she's so inspired by him. And I'm not going to lie to you, it feels a little bit forced, but it's clear where Bendis is going with this. It's also clear that this is going to be a very, very, very boring year for Superman. It is going to be very boring, because aren't we all inspired by Superman? Really? We're all inspired by Superman. I mean, in a generic sense, he's a fictional character, but, he has ideals we all aspire to. And the secret identity was important because it showed a duality. It showed that you can be a nice person, but also have a side of you that could also do extraordinary things, and you didn't need accolades for it. So why is Clark Kent revealing that he's Superman? Does he need recognition? Is this really about truth? Whose truth? His truth? I mean, what does him revealing his secret identity, how does it help the rest of the world? I mean, was anybody complaining? I mean, most people didn't think that Superman had a secret identity anyway. So why reveal it and potentially endanger your family? Why reveal it? And if it was going to get discovered, okay, then it gets discovered, no big deal. But why go out of your way to remove that as a possible shield from public scrutiny and the dangers of your villains from attacking your loved ones? Why not just leave your secret identity intact? This is a really dumbfounded move, and it was a really, I disagree with it on multiple levels here. Again, I know where Bendis is going. It's got storytelling potential, but it's boring storytelling potential. This is a boring take. This was a very boring issue. Nothing happens. Nothing happens from last issue. He just ends up telling Melanie Moore that he's Clark Kent, and then as he battles the Legion of Doom more, he ends up discovering that Leviathan is actually helping to captain the Legion of Doom headquarters ship that's attacking Metropolis, which is nonsense because that didn't happen in the pages of Justice League, and there's no way that the Apex Lex in Justice League would allow some peon like Leviathan to into the Legion of Doom. What does Leviathan have to offer him? Leviathan is just another pissant villain, and he's a joke of one too. I mean, really, you blew up a bunch of intelligence agencies around the world, and you were defeated. Does Lex know that Leviathan was defeated by Batgirl? Does he know that? You were defeated by Batgirl. And you're going to invite him on the Legion of Doom? Good Lord. I have a feeling Leviathan probably told a fib. He said, well, actually, it wasn't just Batgirl. It was Amanda Waller was with her, too. Oh, and, what, Leviathan? You're a joke. But hey, whatever. But in this woke culture we live in, nobody's a joke, right? Everybody's special. Even Leviathan. But anyways, yeah, so it's called Metropolis Doom. Again, not a heck of a lot happened here, but I mean, you get some more action. You got to ignore continuity what's going on in Justice League because it doesn't fit. But we're really moving at a snail's pace here. So we got it alludes to the fact that he revealed his secret identity to the world. He tells Melanie Moore, the police chief, ahead of time, and he's right in the midst of a battle with the Legion of Doom, and he's now fighting Leviathan. I'm not really feeling this, but it is what it is. I'm not looking forward to this year of Superman. I'm really not. It's got boring written all over it. Boring. Boring. If you want to know why DC should know this doesn't work, because Wonder Woman is also a comic book where every other villain or every other person seems to be awed by Wonder Woman, or some writer comes along and every character in the next Wonder Woman arc talks about how inspiring Wonder Woman is, and oh my God, she does something peace. It gets tiring after a while. Look, he's Superman. He kicks butt. He's a nice guy. He puts up with a lot of people's rubbish, nonsense, and he kicks a little butt. And he has a secret identity so he can escape it all, maybe go home at the end of the day and drink a glass of milk, since he can't drink Crown or beer because he doesn't drink alcohol. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? But it is what it is. Guys, tell me what you think of Action Comics 1018. I think it's meh. And yeah, one final thing before I sign off. John Romita Jr.'s art, again, I think he's not my favorite artist, but I think he does a reasonably good job here. Better. I think he's slightly improving on his faces, which is nice. This is the biggest challenge for him. There's some sequences here where he does some nice drawings of faces here, better than he normally does. I was surprised that he was actually able to draw the look of surprise on Melanie Moore's face and actually make it look convincing. And then there's even a couple sequences here of him drawing Clark Kent where there's actually facial expressions here that actually surprised me, because I don't normally associate detailed or readable facial expressions to John Romita Jr. So I would say he's actually slightly improving. And yeah, it is what it is. Guys, tell me what you think of Action Comics 1018. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And until next time, Comic Boom out.